What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video, what do you say we get back to telling some good old-fashioned prison stories? Yeah, you know, it sounds like a pretty good idea to me. So in this video, I want to tell you a story from a time when I had something stolen from me in prison. Oh my God, I've been waiting my whole life for Joe to tell this story. I know this is going to be the story of that time somebody stole his Judy. I know somebody stole his Judy while he was like, wait, no. That's not at all what this story is about. No, nobody took Joe's Junies while he was locked up. For real. But the story of something getting stolen from me while I was serving time, I'm getting better. See, I've been reading the thesaurus. I know there's alternative words I could be using instead of just saying while locked up. I get it, okay? I'm working on it. But the story involves three really interesting things as well. One, yes, of course, something did get stolen from me. And again, no, it was not the Junies. Two, it also involves a really cool prison guard. Probably one of the coolest, if not the coolest prison guard that I ever met while I was away on some sort of a vacation. And though, you know, to be completely honest with you, there was nothing vacation-like about that place at all. And finally, the third thing involves old Joe having to handle some business. Handling some business, you say? What, you was like some sort of prison stockbroker? What, you was going on a prison date? Hey, yo, back shower! What, you was dropping the kids off at the pool? What you mean by handling some business? I mean, I got in a fight. I mean, I had to. Something got stolen from me, so of course, you know, I had to fight because of that. I mean, this is prison we're talking about after all. You better do something if something like that happens to you. So yeah, three pretty interesting things to look forward to in this video. However, before we go ahead and dive into this video, I do want to mention a few things real quick, and I'm going to try to make them as real quick as I possibly can. One, I know I've been away for a little while, and for those of you who don't know, After Prison Show, old Joe has just finished up his first rap track and music video that will be getting released a little later on this week. I don't exactly know when. We're still waiting for a few things to get finalized with this. And believe me when I tell you, I'm super proud of this thing, and even if you are not a fan of rap or hip-hop or anything like that, I truly believe, 100% guarantee, at least I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, I truly believe you will definitely like this song. And if you don't mind me saying so, I'm pretty sure you're going to like the music video as well, because we definitely pulled out all the stops for that too. So again, be looking for that to drop sometime this week. Two, you know, it's all of what I've just mentioned right there, talking about this music video and track that we're getting ready to release, that really reminded me, ironically, of a time while I was having to pay my debt to society, which I had no problem doing. I made a mistake. I had to serve time. If you do the crime, you got to do the time. I did that. Getting there, you're really getting there, Joe, but we definitely got to work on a way to shorten that up a lot. With all of that being mentioned, what do you say we just go ahead and dive? A little scene from this upcoming music video. I'm telling y'all, you ain't ready for this. Head first into this prison story video. Now you may be wondering to yourself, Joe, what does this upcoming music video have to do with anything related to you serving time in prison? Well, I'm kind of glad that you asked, because for those of you who don't know, you know, while I was, it's just gonna evade me at this point, so I'm just gonna leave it blank. You know what I'm about to say. But during all of that time, you know, I sort of fancied myself as a rapper, especially when I was younger, thinking that I could possibly get released and be like the next Eminem. Hey yo, you only got one chance to do right, and yeah, for whatever reason, I was certainly thinking that I could get released and be the next Eminem. I was gonna be that next hot rapper dude, white rapper dude at that. But instead of all of that, you know, I would just continue to get locked up in jail, prison, and, you know, that music career would just forever elude me because of the fact that, you know, I was continuously getting in trouble. If I could only stay out long enough to really try to pursue this music, I might have been able to be like the next Jake Paul or Rice Gum. I hear what you're saying, Joe. Where's that unsubscribe button at? I am totally kidding. I definitely don't want to be the next Jake Paul or Rice Gum. I mean, for real. Because I'm better than them. Hey, what Joe talking about? Joe gonna go at Jake Paul and Rice Gum. But yeah, while I was locked up, I told myself I was gonna try to work on that. One of the ways that I really went about passing my time was writing music, especially rap. I mean, this gave me something to do, it gave me something to keep my mind off of everything else, and it also gave me something very important to have while you're in there. and that is hope. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important hope is to any situation that is negative. You gotta have something more positive to hope for. So let me get this straight, Joe. You telling me your hope was thinking you're gonna come home and be the next Eminem, Jake Paul, or Rice Gum? Where is that unsubscribe button at? Why can't I find it? You gotta have hope inside of a penitentiary, and writing music was something that definitely gave me a lot of hope. However, at the same time that I was doing all of this rapping, I was also doing something else as well. And before you let your little minds go getting into the gutter thinking something crazy, oh, I know what Joe about to tell me he was doing. I knew it. I don't even want the unsubscribe button right this second. But go ahead, Joe. Tell me what you was doing. You know, YouTube has really polluted y'all's minds out there. What I was going to say is I was doing a lot of tattooing. What did you think I was about to say? Where is that unsubscribe button at? About to go watch PewDiePie? Yeah, I was doing a lot of tattooing at this time. I mean, a lot of you probably already knew that's what I was going to say. For those of you who didn't, shame on you. For real. For thinking anything crazy. But with the fact that I was doing all of this tattooing, of course I was getting in a lot of trouble. And it would be one time after another where I would get caught, get told on, and end up going to the hole. For various amounts of time. Sometimes I would only go for like 5 days. Sometimes I would go for 7 days. Sometimes 10. Sometimes 20. Sometimes 60 days. And don't get me wrong. I know there's people who have served a hell of a lot longer amount of time than just 2 months in isolation. I know guys who have served years straight in isolation. Don't let some of these guys on YouTube tell you that though, because they probably lying. Joe just said he served 60 days in isolation. I could top that. I'll tell everybody I served 2 years. Oh, and by the way, real quick, that is definitely a direct shot at some of these other people trying to come up with these prison YouTube channels. I see you guys. I see you doing a whole lot of copying and lying. Man, just tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. I ain't got no shame in my game. Why you gotta try to top me with a lie? What the hell was I talking about again? Oh, yeah. But again, you know, I would serve various amounts of time, a whole bunch of different various amounts of time, getting in trouble, going to the hole for tattooing. And it was during one of these times when I was in isolation because I had got caught for tattooing that I actually had to share a cell with another guy back there in the hole. Now let me tell you something about sharing a cell with somebody in isolation. This is a double-edged sword, meaning this could be like a catch-22, meaning this could be like a good thing, but 99.9999% of the time, this is not going to be a good thing at all. In fact, this is going to be an absolute disaster, terrible, tragic thing. It's not going to be good. I don't know any other synonyms for the word bad. Synonyms. Now, real quick, let me just go ahead and throw this out here as well. A lot of you may be thinking to yourself, man, I never knew that while you would be in the hole, in isolation, in the SHU, special housing unit, what that's referred to, or security housing unit, or secretive housing, I don't know. It's called the SHU, S-H-U. But again, yes, in some cases, you can go to isolation and be housed in the hole with somebody that you got to share a cell with. And again, this could be a good thing, but in most cases, it's going to be a bad thing. Now, real quick, let me just go ahead and say why this could potentially be a good thing. One, maybe it's somebody you know. In prison, everybody tends to know everybody for the most part. In some cases, they probably don't. But if you're somebody who doesn't really have a lot of problems, you get along with everybody, you're going to tend to know pretty much everybody. So there's a good chance you'll know who's in there with you. And there's a potential that you might be cool with this person, or maybe you know this person. Or if you don't, maybe you get in there and you can rock with this person, you could talk with this person. The second reason why it could potentially be a good thing to share a cell with somebody while in isolation, because when you're in isolation, it's gonna mean just that. Isolation. You're otherwise not going to be doing much talking unless it's through a vent, through a toilet, or through a door, and screaming all the while to do so. Hey Joe, what's good? I see you back here in the hole again. Hey, who told on you this time? Haha, you're real funny. Yeah, I mean, they did actually tell on me again. I probably really should learn my lesson about this whole tattooing while locked up thing. I'll always be getting caught. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there's a million reasons why sharing a cell with somebody in the hole is not going to be a good thing. This might be a weird dude, might be a loud dude. This might be one of them guys screaming 24/7 through the bars. Hey, what y'all doing? Hey, what y'all doing over there in the next cell? Hey, what's going on? Hey, let's stay up all night and scream at each other because we ain't got nothing else to do. Yeah, my son ain't trying to sleep, but let's keep screaming. And something like that could lead to a plethora of whole other problems as well. You've got a disrespectful guy sharing the cell with you. You're going to have to handle some business. Hey, man, what you doing yelling all the time, trying to go to sleep? We in the hole, man. Don't nobody got time to be listening to you. Bang, 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 bang. There's a million reasons why sharing a cell with somebody in isolation could be a bad thing. And during one of the many times I got knocked out for tattooing, and I went to the hole where I would have to share a cell with someone else. Now, at first, this someone else, I can't remember his name to save my life, but at first, this guy, he was all right. I mean, he was a younger dude. I don't even remember what he was back in the hole for. I really wish I remembered, because as I try to remember this, I'm quite sure it was for something crazy. In fact, now that I really think about this guy, he was a teensy-weensy bit crazy. But in the beginning, I mean, this guy was relatively okay. If I had to be in the hole and I was in here with this guy, at least at first, he wasn't so bad. In fact, this guy also considered himself a rapper. If only he could just stop getting locked up, then potentially he could pursue his music career like I was trying to pursue my music career. But jail and prison just kept getting in the way. But even with that, I mean, we at least had music in common. This guy would beatbox on the toilet or on the desk. I would spit some stuff that I wrote, and this guy would just sit there like, hey man, you alright, man, for real. You can go out there and be the next Jake Paul, Eminem, or Rice Gum. You was nice. Oh yeah, mind you, this happened years ago. So back then, Jake Paul and Rice Gum, I mean, I don't even think they were really around. Now let me go ahead and throw another little part to this puzzle into all of this. And that is the guards that work back there in isolation while you're back in the hole. And for the most part, the guards that work back there are going to be the worst of the worst. In fact, they're going to reserve the worst guards that work at that prison, jail, compound, wherever you're at, to work back there in the shoe. Because if the object is to make time that you serve in the hole the worst that it could possibly be, well, a good way to add to making it the worst is by having the worst guards work back there. Now, in most every single instance, that is exactly what I would see. Guards who would walk by during chow time, put your tray right there in the little tray slot, and if you ain't there to grab it, that tray's going all over the floor. Guys who would treat you like you ain't even the dirt on the ground. The absolute worst of the worst guards, making the time that you're already serving that's horrible because you're back there in isolation that much more badder. I didn't want to use worse right there because I felt like I was already getting too close to that. Take a shot every time Joe says worst. So I decided to use the word batter, not batter. B-A-D-E-R. Batter. I think that's how you spell it. But with the fact that you would definitely have the worst guards working back in isolation, there was a really crazy twist to this particular time I was back there. And that was that on this one particular shift, there was this one particular guard who actually was like one of the coolest guards who worked at this compound. In fact, again, I think this was probably one of the coolest guards that I had ever met while serving time. And just to give you a little idea of what made this guy so cool, now this can go one of two ways. This could either make this guy seem really cool, or it can make this guy, to some people, seem like, I don't know, maybe not so cool. But let me just go ahead and throw in a few things that made this guy a good guard. While he was on his shift, he would be working in the control booth. They've got an intercom system that runs through the entire isolation cell block. And what this guy would do when he was on is he would turn that intercom on and he would actually play music through the intercom system. So we actually had like music we could listen to because, again, when you're in the hole, you ain't having nothing. And sometimes when he was handing out trays, instead of throwing the tray right there on the floor, I mean, sometimes this guy would actually give me an extra tray. He would give a whole bunch of these guys back there extra trays. He would order extra trays so he could give these guys who were serving time in the hole something extra to eat, because something else that makes being in the hole bad is if you think you hungry in regular prison, try going to the prison inside of the prison and tell me about being hungry then. You're going to be eating toothpaste and drinking water. You're going to be so damn hungry. And that is absolutely for real. Hell, I did that myself. Get so hungry, you got to eat toothpaste just to try to kill the hunger pains. And now some other little tidbits to throw in here about this particular guard that you might either find like that's cool or that's absolutely crazy. But let me just go ahead and throw these things in here as well. One, there was a rumor that went all through this compound that this guy, he was actually a gang member. He was a Crip. Two, and this is going to sound just absolutely crazy, but this guy was sort of like your real life Rick Ross prison guard. And this guy even rapped. In fact, he would rap battle, a prison guard rap battling prisoners. In fact, I even rapped against this guy a couple of times, and being completely honest with you, when I did so, this guy ate me alive. I mean, for real, he was a nice rapper. He was good. Craziest damn thing. A prison guard who fancied himself as like a Rick Ross, who really could rap, thought he was a gang member, would play music for guys, and would give guys extra trays. He was a decent dude. So in comparison to most other guards, and as crazy as it may seem to say this, I mean, this guy, he was actually a pretty cool guard. And then the final thing about this guy that made him just that much cooler, he would let a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of stuff, slide. Oh, you guys over there fighting? All right, I'm gonna turn my head over this way. I ain't seeing nothing. He weren't really trying to do a whole lot of paperwork like some of these other guards. They are. They'll do paperwork all day long. They'll write you a charge for nothing. In fact, I just did a video talking about that. Craziest damn thing. 5 of the craziest prison rules ever. So with all of that, time continued to pass in the hole. I've got a cellie who's somewhat crazy, young, little rapper dude. We've got a really awesome prison guard who works back there when his shift is working. You know, at first, this time that I was serving in the hole, I mean, it really wasn't that bad at all. Minus the times that I did have to eat toothpaste and drink water just to kill the hunger pains. But like pretty much anything else in relation to prison, anything that starts out as somewhat good or okay usually has a tendency to end, well, completely opposite from anything like that. And that is exactly what would end up happening in this case. And it all went down like this. When you were in isolation, there was a lot of things that you're not going to get, or you're not going to get them very often, such as rec. You might get wrecked like once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. And when you do get it, you're only going to get it for an hour. Phone calls. You can pretty much cancel Christmas and break your dinner plate in relation to getting a phone call while you're back there in the hole. And something else that might just be the most important of them all, showers. Just like going to rec, you might get those once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. They say they're going to give you a shower 3 times a week. But I can most certainly attest to the fact that in some cases, you'll be lucky if you get 1 shower a week. Now, anytime that you're back in this dungeon of the prison and you are sharing a cell with somebody else, when it comes to taking a shower, they're going to let one of you out at a time to take their shower and then come back. And that was exactly what the case was, where everything was about to hit the fan with this little cellmate that I had back here in the hole. Because when shower time rolled around and my cellie went out to take a shower, I got to assure you, by this point, we've been back here for about a week, maybe a week and a half. And this guy was just acting really, really weird. In fact, he was making me very suspicious of this guy. And you know, when you start to get suspicious of somebody that you're sharing a cell with, that you are locked inside of that cell pretty much 23 hours a day, and in most cases, 24 hours a day, being suspicious of somebody in a situation like that is not a good thing. In fact, that is definitely a recipe that's going to spell disaster in the end. And because I was having this vibe that made me feel suspicious and leery of this guy. Hey Joe, you just sounded like a paranoid deranged lunatic at this time. Where that unsubscribe button at? The hole done messed you up for real. And you know, I can't really place where this feeling was coming from. Maybe the hole was really messing me up. Maybe all this time back here in isolation, stuck with this one guy for so long, maybe it was starting to take a toll on my mind. Or maybe it was my gut intuition. And you know, one thing they say about gut intuition is, usually, you should trust your gut. So when this guy went to go take his shower, and with me feeling as crazy as I was feeling, there was a notebook that was laying on this guy's bunk. He had the top bunk, I had the bottom bunk. You know, in all these stories Joe tell, he always got the bottom bunk and somebody else always got the top bunk. I wonder if he's trying to tell us something with all of that. For the love of God, no, I am not. I don't know, it is kind of ironic though. In a lot of these stories, I always do have that bottom bunk. This guy leaves to go take his shower. There's this notebook laying on top of his bunk. This is where he's writing his little raps at. And for whatever reason, I was drawn to this notebook. I was nosy. I was intrusive. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I grabbed this notebook off this guy's bed because that gut intuition that I was feeling told me to do so. And when I looked at the notebook, I'm holding it in my hands, I'm looking at it, I see some raps written in the notebook. Okay, no big deal, no big deal. That song was horrible. This guy will never be a rapper. Wait a minute. What is this? You go past the first couple of pages in the notebook, past a whole bunch of empty pages in the notebook, and you get more toward the back of the notebook. And what did I find right there other than some of my raps, word for word, verbatim, written inside this guy's notebook. This guy was legitimately trying to steal my raps. And you know, to be completely honest with you, there was a brief moment where I didn't know whether I should be flattered by this or go ahead and do what I was definitely about to do next. You try to tell me this dude, he was copying your raps word for word? I mean, how nice do you think you are for real? You ain't no Eminem. Matter of fact, I'm about to go watch an Eminem video right now. You got me ready to go watch some Eminem videos. Crazy as it may sound, and I'm not saying this to gas myself up, to make myself seem like super good at rapping or super cool or whatever. This is legitimately what my gut intuition was telling me. Joe, you need to go look inside this notebook. It's important. And inside that notebook were some raps that I had written, again, word for word. Now, you know, they say that people will steal anything in prison. And I'll be damned if that ain't the absolute truth. Because here in this notebook lies some Da Vinci Code type of raps. I mean, that's how intricate and detailed and nice, well, at least I considered those raps to be. I can't even believe I'm still watching this video. All this talk about these raps being so nice, the Da Vinci Code type of rap, I know you're about to spit something right now. Well, if you insist. I mean, only if you insist. Now, what I'm about to spit for you, this is something that I wrote a very, very, very long time ago. This goes with zero beat whatsoever. I'm going to let you know. This was more like some spoken word type of rap thing. But it's pretty nice. I liked it. And I've never forgotten it for as long as it's been since I've written it. This paper understands me, so I speak through this pencil. Forgotten credentials. Things in my life that seemed at one point essential. My voice, it was scribed through this lead. Unanswered questions, they still thrive in my head. Like if I'm still alive, then how's my stick man dead? Like needles and thread. They say we reap what we sow, but life's unforgettable. I just roll with the flow. And no matter how bad I'm hurting, yo, I won't let it show. I can't let it go. These memories and images got me ready to blow. You know, there was a lot more to it, but I absolutely forgot the rest of it. I was really going somewhere right there, too. When I saw this notebook with my raps written inside of it, I didn't know what to do. I knew I was ready to fight this guy. I knew I was going to fight this guy. And I just needed to wait for this dude to come out of the shower. Now, as he was in the shower, my homeboy, Mr. Cool Guard, one of the coolest guards that I've ever had to deal with while incarcerated, he was actually making his rounds, and I called him over to the bars. I said, hey, come here, man. Come here. Hey, Rick Ross, come here, man. No, I ain't trying to battle you right now. Come on, man. You done beat me every time we battle. I'm done with that. But come here, man. I need to show you something. He came over to the bars, and I showed him. I said, man, look at this. Look at this. He took the notebook. He read it. He said, oh my God. Hey, man, you're silly. You're silly. Can spit. That dude got bars. This is hot lava flow right here. I wrote that. And that is my words in his handwriting, in his notebook. I'm putting it right down in front of you. Rick Ross, you gonna pick it up? The man done stole my raps. I know you probably never seen nothing like this in your 2.5 weeks of being a correctional officer, but the man, he done stole my raps. Those are my words in his handwriting in his notebook. All right, look. The man, he done copied my raps. I mean, this could have been my case right here. What if this was like important casework? Because I know a lot of you are probably thinking about this like, Joe, don't tell me you're about to fight some dude because he rewrote and copied your raps. Joe, you're a thug. You belong back in prison. I hope you get locked up ASAP. Comment. I hope Joe reads that comment right there, and I hope it makes him cry too. And yes, that is exactly what's getting ready to happen, because it doesn't matter that it's just some raps that this guy copied that I had wrote. It is all about the principle. It is all about respect. And it is all about if, while handcuffed, chained, shackled behind razor wire fences, guard towers, and concrete walls, if in a situation like that, you were ever disrespected, you better handle your business. You have to. Because if you don't and word gets out, this is prison politics we're talking about right here. If you don't handle your business and word gets out that you didn't, you ain't gonna be no better than the doormat. Because people, they're gonna step all over you. And that is the absolute truth. So, you know, I told Rick Ross as he was standing there at my bar, still completely confused by this entire situation, I told him, I said, look, I'm letting you know right now, when this dude comes out of the shower and he comes back into the cell, I'm smashing him immediately. I mean, I gotta do that. You get it, right? I mean, you like Rick Ross. You always thought like you was one of us. I mean, you a gang-banging prison guard. At least that's the rumor. When he gets out of the shower, I got to have him. And you know, I'm just being funny about this whole situation. Of course, as I'm telling this prison guard what I'm getting ready to do, showing him all of this, yeah, he's getting it. And he's like, look, man, you got to do what you got to do. Dude comes out of the shower, they roll them bars, and there is a famous saying while locked up: when them bars swing, you swing. And as soon as this guy came walking back into the cell with his towel draped over his shoulder, soap dish in his hand, wearing his little AC ball, one boxer, I didn't even sneak him. I held that notebook right there in my hand and I said, man, hey, what's this right here? You done stole my raps? You done stole my raps? Hold on, let me make sure my feet are out. You done stole my raps?
The time to talk is no good, man. I'm gonna talk on this paper right here.
This cool ass guard, he actually let me handle my business. And when all was said and done, one of the very few fights that old Joe actually won. Hey yo, when all was said and done, one of the few fights that old Joe actually won. Cody, the auto team! Rick Ross came up in the cell, broke us up.
No, I ain't done with them. You gotta get off of me.
The rest of the isolation housing unit was going absolutely crazy because they don't usually get to see a fight too often back in the hole. When all was said and done, the guard came in, he broke us up, he had to separate us. He made me pack all of my stuff up, and I ended up getting moved to another isolation housing unit, which, you know, if karma plays any part of this, this was a housing unit where that cool guard, he didn't work at. In fact, there weren't no cool guards who worked back in this area. And though the rest of the time that I would have to serve in isolation would be horrible because it just was, there weren't any cool guards, there wasn't anything to do except for listen to crazy prisoners screaming 24/7. One really interesting thing did happen, and that was that a trustee ended up giving me a kite that was written by this old cellie that I had just beat up because he had stole my raps. And what this kite said was, Joe, I'm sorry. This is no bullshit. This is what it said. Joe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your raps, something along those lines. You know, I just really liked your raps. And you know, as I think back on this whole situation, you know, I feel dumb for this. Because in prison, you're going to be put in situations where you have to do things that maybe you wouldn't do in a different situation if you weren't locked up. You know, I don't feel like I'm big and bad because I fought this guy and I won. But in that world, things are different. You know, there's a whole different set of rules that you got to play by. And if you don't play by those rules, well, there's going to be consequences. This guy stole something from me, and because of that, I had to do what I had to do. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day.